Io says these next tapings will cover the build for both Turning Point and Final Resolution. I am told. I heard the same thing from my source, Lucha Doncic. From my source, I'm not going to give up my source, Lucha Doncic, who was at the taping. But yeah, he said that. So the first night basically was mostly a build towards Turning Point, and then the second night, although they did do some building towards Final Resolution, the second night is going to be building more towards Final Resolution. So the schedule looks like it's going to be they're off again for Thanksgiving. They're just going to do things. They're just going to do a special, which makes me sick. I hate that they do that. I don't like throwing in the towel that way, and I think WWE has taken on that strategy recently. I just think that they should embrace being on Thanksgiving. Wrestling used to be so huge on Thanksgiving, and I know that it's not anymore, but maybe they can bring that back. I think that they should take that as a challenge. Like Starrcade used to be on Thanksgiving. Survivor Series used to be on Thanksgiving. World Class Championship Wrestling ran their Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving Star Wars, and they also did Christmas Star Wars every year. Mid-Atlantic always ran Thanksgiving. Like all the big promotions back in the day ran Thanksgiving. It was a big deal. Now, NFL is king on Thanksgiving. So would your ratings dip? Well, the last time they actually ran a real show that I can remember was when they were on Pop TV, and their rating went up. It did. And they only had like 3 matches on the show, but the rating went up from the previous week. It was whenever Disco Inferno wore the turkey suit, the Eli Drake turkey trot, whatever it was. And then Disco wore the turkey suit. I think that might have been in 2018, 2019. I can't remember. But ever since then, they've kind of just thrown in the towel, and they've just shown like a best of Thanksgiving, or they would do like Wrestle House, or they would do IPWF. I think they should just make it into a big event every year. I've been saying that every year, and you guys are probably sick of me saying that. But I'm always going to say that. And if I ever get like an ear from one of their producers or one of their creative team members, I'm like, you guys are looking at this all wrong. Look at this as an opportunity. And then also remember that live viewership isn't the only thing. People are going to be on leave. People are going to be off work for a few days. They're going to have time to watch this shit on DVR. A lot of people watch on TNA Plus versus Access TV anyway. And a lot of it is like after the fact. You can make it into a big event and people will watch it. Even if they would prioritize NFL over your show, there's a lot of people that just don't watch football, right? And they're going to be up. A lot of people eat dinner before Impact even comes on. And families go to sleep, and then some of the dads will stay up watching TV, and they're either going to watch football, but a lot of them might end up watching wrestling, right? I think they need to just start doing events on Thanksgiving again. Not like live, but recorded on their TV tapings in November, just work through like they normally do, but make it a big deal episode. I got to say last week's episode was they didn't capitalize it on it being a Halloween episode enough. They didn't. They could have had, like, it was a Halloween. They had Halloween graphics, but they didn't have any Halloween themed matches. They just kind of like, they're just so void of creativity. They don't take any risks. They don't take any chances. I'm like, look, here's a perfect opportunity where you could have had like Halloween themed matches, right? You could have had your own version of Halloween Havoc as an episode. But they just don't have it in them. They just don't they don't know. They don't know how to capitalize on things. There was a similar thing for 4th of July. They could have done something for 4th of July. They were on 4th of July earlier this year, and they didn't do anything. And the 4th of July episode was being taped in Philadelphia, the birthplace of our country, and they didn't do anything for that. They are just so like numb to what the possibilities are, creatively. I just don't get it. Dre says they need to watch the Thanksgiving 07 Impact episode and stop being a bunch of pussies. I agree. Io says there could be a Christmas edition. I agree. I love the Christmas 2007 episode. It's one of my favorite ones that they've ever done. It was hokey. It was cheesy, but it was good. It was fun to watch. Like you can go back on the Patreon, or you can go back on YouTube. But on the Patreon, what I'll probably do is it's already there, but it's probably buried. So you'd have to search for it. I think this year what I'll do is I'll re-upload it. But JD and I provided commentary over the Christmas 2007 episode, and it was fantastic. It was so fun. They did all kinds of Christmas themed stuff, Christmas themed matches. They had a Christmas cage match with the Dudley Boys, and all kinds of stuff. Like you could do stuff like that every year. They just choose not to. I really just don't get these people. When things get too hard, they just quit. So weird. But yeah, so it looks like this schedule. They're building all the way up to Final Resolution, and then Final Resolution. Did you guys? Let me see. I gotta re-look this up because Invicta and Final Resolution. This is so weird. It's so weird. Let me go back to the advertisement that they put on the Invicta the Invicta Twitter, because Invicta is going to be doing a fight on the same night as TNA Final Resolution, and they're doing it from the same city, but they didn't announce a location. They didn't announce a time or anything like that. I need to go back. I'm looking for it. I'm just, don't mind me as I scroll Twitter. I'm not going to be putting this clearly on, yeah, here it is. Let me see. Let me click this. Oh, you sons of bitches. Okay, now I have to go back. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is really bad radio. My bad. But I really want to get to this. I just now thought of this. But I want to pull it up on the screen because I think it's important. It just makes no sense to me how they could be running the same city, unless of course it's like a dual deal. Unless this is like in partnership with TNA. But here you go. Breaking on December 13th in Atlanta, Georgia, you got Talita Bernardo defends her bantamweight title against Jennifer Maia, headlining a stacked card to end of the year on CBS Sports Network. And here you go. Atlanta. But what is missing? A time and location. I find that to be really interesting. Now, I had this discussion with the boys in the Brace for Impact chat with Dobby and with Gerard. And I was like, is it possible that this event is going to be live before Impact is on that night? Or is it going to be right afterwards? I don't know. I think that's interesting, though. I think you could probably do Turning Point, or not Turning Point, Final Resolution like an hour earlier, like at 7 Eastern, and you can do like 2.5 hours and then go off the air and replace the ring with a cage, and then the logos could be the same, just change the screen, and then boom, you can have Invicta come up. I think you could do that. I think that's doable. And then you can sell 2-for-1 tickets. And there you go. You're finally leveraging them being under the same umbrella, which they've never, they have done a little bit of cross promotion before. I can't remember her name, but there was a lady that was on that showed up and was like training Deonna Purrazzo and stuff like that. But they really have not done a good job of bringing these companies together and cross-pollinating and co-promoting. Now, you see advertisements for Impact all over Invicta TV. I have CBS Sportsnet on my cousin's YouTube TV that I happen to use. So if I'm home and it's on, I check it out. It's not on my DVR, but I do check it out if I just happen to be there. And I think it's something that you could do. You could even Io says maybe copying TKO strategy. I think it's a good strategy. TKO right now is doing weekends where maybe on Friday night in the same city, in the same venue, you'll get SmackDown. And then on the Saturday night, you get a UFC pay-per-view. And then maybe on Sunday, you get a PBR event, because PBR is now under the TKO umbrella. So Endeavor owned PBR already, but now TKO, which is, they've created a separate company, a separate LLC, a limited liability company, but it's under the Endeavor brand. So what TKO did is they purchased PBR from Endeavor, like through that, because you have to, because it's on the stock market. So everything has to be done that way. And now PBR has moved over under the TKO umbrella. And so now they're doing deals with cities and with locations, doing that. So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know, but I just couldn't imagine that they would be running opposition. Just like, it would be really stupid, to say the least. Now, look, Invicta's not selling a lot of tickets. I've seen these shows. There's not that many people there. In fact, I think it would behoove both TNA and Invicta, although TNA does a good job of selling tickets these days. I don't know how long this is going to hold up, especially with how bland the creative has been lately. And it's been really bad, like bland. Like, not like stupid where it's terrible, but like bland. And from what I saw from the TV tapings, like, that's not changing. It's like, hey, you want to determine another one contender to the world title? Okay, tag match. So there you go. But or if you're a tag team and you want to determine another one contender, series of singles matches. Like, I went off on that last week. That's still going. That's still happening. So I think eventually it would be smart for TNA to make a deal with Full Sail, or not TNA, Anthem, make a deal with Full Sail, and that becomes like a regular home for both Invicta and Impact. I think that's a smart play. Or they need to buy their own like studio or something, kind of like what the Apex in Vegas for the UFC, or the Performance Center in Orlando. Like, they need to do something like that. Maybe like Nashville, their home. And not Skyway Studios, too small. Like, you'd want something that opens up to about 1,500 people. But when you scale it down for like regular stuff, like 500, and you pack it out, and then it just looks really good on TV. NXT looks so good from the 2300 arena earlier this week, by the way. I didn't watch the show, of course, because I have class. I'm not watching that. I'm just kidding. But they made that look like an actual home for television. I think that, although I would like to see bleachers there, and I've seen people use bleachers in that venue, I think that they could do something like that. IO says Invicta main shows usually start at 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so you could push them back an hour. You probably push them back an hour, 10. Like, that's pretty late, but it's Friday night. 10 p.m. is when UFC starts on Saturday night, usually. I think you push them back an hour. Absolutely. And then when TNA goes on at 7, right? Get finished at 9:30, and then boom, you got, and you could just swap out the ring with the cage. Put in the whatever. I can't remember if they use it. They don't use it's like an octagon style, but I think theirs might just be a circle. Just tear down the ring, put that up. You could probably get that done. And like, you don't even have to have it ready by the beginning of the show. Like, the first match is not going off like right at 10, right? You have the intro, you have the introduction, you're going to break down, you have all the videos, you do some interviews. You could probably, push it back like 15, 20 minutes before the first fight starts. Like 15 minutes in, like the walkout starts, and like you got the cage ready to go. You could probably get that done. So I think that would be cool. Our next story, for not having a lot of news, I sure did have a lot to say. Our next story is some pretty good news for TNA. So the update on Bound for Glory in week 2 is just under 5,200 buys. It's now 28.8% from Slammiversary. I'm going to say that again. It is now up 28.8% from Slammiversary. So to me, that's a big success. So with 5,200 television buys, again, television. Say it with me, television buys. 5,200. What that means is very likely looking at, according to Dave's typical estimations, now this is just from Dave, it's his estimations, you multiply that by 3. Okay. So you're looking at over 15,000 buys when you factor in streaming. So why do you multiply it by 3? Well, let's say like 3 times the people actually stream these shows versus buying on television. Um, so I'll be honest, I have not bought like anything on cable forever. I don't own cable, right? I don't have like my own cable. I borrow my cousin's password, and it's not available on YouTube TV. So, but people that have like traditional cable, like your Xfinity and Spectrums, and of course a Dish and DirecTV, like 5,200 people bought on there. But most people are buying on Triller, buying on YouTube pay-per-view, buying on, of course, TNA Plus now is like becoming a thing, and a lot of people that I know actually purchased on TNA Plus this go around, and I had issues on Triller, I did, but apparently there were no issues on TNA Plus, so maybe next time the strategy is to buy on TNA Plus. And then plus they had a really good discounted deal to where if you bought the pay-per-view, you got like 3 or 4 months. 3 or 4 months. So it's now 28.8% above what Slammiversary was doing 2 weeks out, according to Dave Meltzer. Now Dave's final estimation for Slammiversary. So this is coming from the November 2nd Observer. Said being a month out. Oh, hold on. The updated number for the Slammiversary pay-per-view show on 7/20 in Montreal, as far as TV buys, is 8,000. Being a month out, that's a final number. One would estimate 26,000 plus if you include streaming, which would be about a third or fourth best number since losing Spike TV. 26,000, right? So if we're doing the math, 28.8% above 26,000. If that continues the trajectory, right? It could dip or it could even grow. So we'll continue to track it, but we could be up over 33,000 buys if this thing stays at a 28.8% increase over Slammiversary. That's pretty good. Okay. That is about. I don't know what AEW's last pay-per-view did. What was it? Wrestle Dream? Let me look up Wrestle Dream. I don't know what AEW Wrestle Dream did on their last go around. I don't know what they did on their last one, but I would assume that it's just a little bit above 100,000, which is really good for that pay-per-view. It's not like a marquee pay-per-view. Okay, hold on. All right, let me read this. So the update on Wrestle Dream is that from a TV buy perspective, it's up 4.5% from All Out. That's pretty good. Without the Bleach Report numbers, I don't know where the overall figure. Again, I would have expected that if you take out that big number, that the other number was to be way up. But that's also probably it's other the streaming services other than TV. Those in AEW felt a few weeks ago they would end up about the same as All Out. I would still think TV would be up more if that were the case. But this is the best info we have for this week. Okay, so he didn't really give a number this week. So God damn it. Let me see. AEW All Out 2024 PPV buys. Let me see what it says here on this. There isn't much information about on that. Okay. So all in was 158, but all out, I don't really have a good estimation. So I would have to do some research on that before comparing it. But the reason why I was trying to compare it is because let's just say it's a like little over 100, right? If this one gets at 33,000, call it 33, okay? If it gets to 33,000, you're talking about a third of what AEW does, but with like 1/20th of the budget, okay? 1/20th of the budget of Wrestle Dream. That is really good for TNA. That is really good. That is I would have to assume that's a profitable show. I would have to assume that, especially because did they sell 3,000 tickets? No. They had 3,000 people there. They comped. Yeah, they comped some tickets. But they probably sold over 2,500 tickets, right? and their promotional budget again is not the same as AEW. So they're doing really good, and nobody's talking about it. But right here on Brace for Impact, Io says, imagine how big are the pay-per-view buys if TNA had a stronger platform. I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. I think it would go up if they had a stronger platform. But let's be honest, when they were on Spike TV, they didn't they weren't doing these like as good on the last days of Spike TV because they kept disappointing their fans on pay-per-view. But it appears that they're holding strong. With Hard to Kill being like right around 60 and Slammiversary being at 26, and then this one looks like it's going to be up over 30. 3 out of 4 Rebellion didn't do very good. Rebellion was like in the teens, as far as I can tell. I'm trying to remember back, but I think it's possible that they could do well, or it's also possible that that they get up there and then more people watch the TV show and then they just don't want to watch the papers. Like, I got everything I need from TNA based off of their TV show. That can happen too. So, but one would assume that that would be the case. Like, more people, more eyes, more fans, more pay-per-views. Like, that math kind of adds up, but it's not always linear. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always linear. They still have to do the work. But since you're talking about that, on Wednesday, October 2nd, hold on the latest edition of The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy talked to John Alba about AEW's new TV deal and how it was a huge positive for the wrestling industry. Says a huge positive. The more places they're thriving and doing well in pro wrestling, especially. Oh, dang it. I was trying to pull up the Matt Hardy story about, I was trying to pull up the Matt Hardy story where he's talking about TNA looking to find a bigger platform. Man, I am struggling. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, let's just talk about it. Matt Hardy said that he's looking for that TNA is looking for a bigger platform, that they're actively looking for that. That's something we've been talking about forever. Santino said it last year. People say that every year and nothing ever happens. I think if they're going to do it, it's got to be 2025. And them going live on the 20th, January 23rd, them going live from San Antonio, Texas, tells me that they're trying to get the attention of TV execs to be able to go live or to be able to get a new TV deal. They want to have a good crowd. That's a really nice venue. The production quality was great. It was one of their best. It was probably their best TV taping all year, to be honest with you. So there were some other really good ones. There was, Chicago and Philadelphia, but that was their best because it checked every single box. It was a good show. The shows were good. Crowd was hot. Production quality was great, right? It looked like a major league production for a TV taping, and they had a lot of people there. So I think they checked every single box in San Antonio. They're going to try to recreate that magic come the 23rd. I hope that they're able to do it. I really do. I hope that they're able to do it. But that would tell me that they actually are trying. Now, whether or not they'll be successful, I don't know. Ring of Honor is very likely to land a TV deal pretty soon. I'm guessing it's going to be on True TV. If not, it'd probably be like streaming on Max. If I were them, True TV, yeah, I think streaming on Max would actually be better at this point. Because a lot of people have Max. I now have Max, right? Because in anticipation of AEW Dynamite and Collision being on there, I now have Max. And so that's going to be the way that I watch it going forward. I would say that I would just be on Max. That would be great. But they might very well be on True TV. And Ring of Honor currently is on Thursday nights. It's on Thursday nights on Ring of Honor On Demand. They're very likely to put Ring of Honor on Thursday nights in prime time, head-to-head with TNA. And if TNA does not get on a better network, that's going to suck for them. But I'll be honest, TNA fans don't watch Ring of Honor. and Ring of Honor fans don't watch TNA. So I think there's room for both companies head to head. Like it's not like a this or that. Like I don't watch Ring of Honor. I was never a Ring of Honor guy. Ring of Honor is fine to me, but now that AEW owns it, it's just like it's just another AEW show with a different logo, and it's like they're developmental, right? There's nothing really interesting happening there. And now Chris Jericho is their champion. I don't want to see that. That doesn't interest me. But I do think Ring of Honor and TNA are about to go head to head, probably starting in 2025. Now TNA just needs to get on a bigger platform because the narrative around them is like they're getting beat by AEW's, developmental, right? Because you're actually going to get ratings information from Ring of Honor because they're on a bigger platform on True TV, and TNA can't even get in the top 150 on Access TV. Because Access is essentially dead. It's a dead network, right? It's a tax write-off for Anthem at this point.